The humans were everywhere once, on moons, on planets, in asteroid belts, even drifting in deep space. They built great cities on dead rocks. They brought fire and power to cold places. The galaxy had learned to live with them. Some feared them. Some traded with them. Some tried to fight them, and lost. But then they went silent. It started slowly. One day, a trade ship didn't answer. The next week, a human colony didn't send its monthly report. The week after that, a whole sector with 5 human outposts showed no signal. At first, no one worried. Humans were strange. Maybe it was just a communication bug. But then more silence followed. A patrol ship from the Sarati Empire went to check on a human mining moon. They found machines still working, the mines still active. But the humans were gone. No blood, no fight, no damage. It was like they had just stood up one day and walked away. The Sarati called it the Ghost Moon. Soon, more ghost places were found. Human ships floating in space, lights still blinking, engines on standby, but not a single person inside. A cargo station near the border of the ZKUL Alliance was found in perfect shape. Food still warm, doors unlocked, computers still logging activity, but the crew? Gone, whispers spread in the galaxy. Where did the humans go? Some said it was a secret mission. Others said they found a new galaxy and left. A few believed they went extinct. But one thing was clear. The silence was growing. Captain Trellick of the Varn Dominion was one of the first to speak in fear. He had fought humans in the border wars. He had seen their fury, their cleverness, their madness. He didn't trust silence from them. Humans don't go quiet, he said at a gathering of the outer species. If they are quiet, it means they're planning something? The others laughed. Trellick was old. Too old. Maybe war had broken his mind, but then came the first dark signal. It was from the edge of the Red Veil Nebula. A Zarn scout ship found a small human listening post on a moon. The post was dead. The crew was gone. But something was transmitting from under the surface. A pulsing code. Not in human language, not in any known language, just a rhythm pattern. Ba-dum, ba-dash, dum. Like a heartbeat, the scout ship recorded the signal and sent it to the Zarnhai data core. But 3 days later, the core collapsed. Not just crashed, melted from the inside. The planet it sat on lost power. Shields dropped. Systems failed. And then, the whole world fell into silence. No one survived. The Zarn blamed the humans. But how they were gone. Now fear began to grow. The silence was no longer just absence, it was a shadow. It moved from system to system. Every place the silence touched lost power, then people, then life. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. All races attended, something that hadn't happened in 1,000 years. Even old enemies sat side by side. The speaker was Ambassador Rilla from the Nerari. She was known for her calm voice, but now she was shaking. We ignored the silence, she said. Now it speaks with death. But no one knew what to do. The silence had no ships, no weapons, no demands. Just emptiness. Admiral Gorsh of the Zentari said they should attack all human worlds before more systems died. Burn the ghost planets, he said. Cleanse the disease. But Trellick stood again. This time, no one laughed. They are not dead, he said. They are waiting. Waiting. For what? No one could answer at that moment. A new signal appeared. Broadcast from deep space. Not from any human system. It was a single sentence in perfect galactic common. We warned you. Then the signal stopped. Every world that received it felt the same thing, cold, as if something had passed over them. Not a ship, not a beam, just presence. Ships were sent to chase the source. They found nothing. But the silence spread faster after that. Systems with no humans began to lose contact. Small outposts flickered out. Whole colonies lost connection. Sometimes no warning at all. It's quiet. And then, on the edge of the Shara line, the largest trading station in the galaxy went dark. 20,000 lives vanished in the ruins. Investigators found a single phrase scratched onto a metal door. We are not gone. The message shook the council. The silence was no accident. It was a plan, a message, a movement. The humans had disappeared. But their shadow was still here. It was killing worlds. No one knew why. No one knew how, but one thing became clear. To all species of the galaxy, this was only the beginning. Fleet Commander Velen of the Creshi Republic stared at the transmission logs again. His ship, Skypulse, had just returned from scanning an old human relay hub near the twin stars of Sector X9. They found the station offline. Its systems burned out from the inside. But the strange part wasn't the damage, it was what they had picked up while approaching. A signal, faint, repeating, cold. It wasn't in any known language. It's not even ancient codes. Yet every species who heard it agreed on one thing. It felt like a warning. Velen replayed the sound on loop. Badash dum. Badash dum. Again, that heartbeat like pulse. But now it had layers like something whispering behind the beat. Every time he listened, he heard something new. And something inside him told him to stop. But he didn't. Not yet. In the deep libraries of the Iran Dominion, the oldest AI archive, Prime was asked to decode the signals. It took exactly 6.7 seconds before it shut itself down. A message flashed before it blinked out. This is not language. This is presence. Panic spread. More signals were found, always in the ruins of human systems. Sometimes buried under mountains, sometimes bouncing off dead satellites, sometimes hidden in radio waves, riding through black space, each one different. But each one carrying the same beat, ba-dash-dum, ba-dash-dum. The council called it the ghost pulse. Many wanted to block the signals completely. Others believed understanding them might reveal what happened to the humans. So, some braver, foolish teams went searching. One such team was the Deep Space salvage crew called the Iron Drop. They found a derelict human exploration cruiser floating near the edge of a dying star. The ship had no power, no crew. Inside its command deck, there was a single working console. It was blinking with the words, "They're not coming. They're already here." The Iron Drop crew transmitted the message to Central Command and stayed on board to investigate further. That was the last anyone heard from them. Hours later, the station that received their transmission went offline. Power failed. Atmosphere leaked. And a cold fog rolled through the halls, recorded on cameras before everything cut to black. No bodies were found. Only silence. In Sector 12K, a military science team managed to isolate parts of the signal. They slowed it down, broke it into pieces, and one fragment, barely a second long, held a human voice. A woman, calm, flat, no emotion, she said. "We gave you time." The rest of the fragment was corrupted. But the voice matched no known human ID, the leading xenolinguist. Dr. Haskin refused to continue working on the signals after hearing the voice. He claimed he dreamed of her for 3 nights, said she was standing at the edge of his bed, watching. He quit. Moved to an ice world. Never spoke again, all across the galaxy. More systems picked up variations of the ghost pulse. Planets began building shields. Not against ships or weapons, but against sound. Against radio, and still, the humans didn't return. The silence around them was now filled with their echoes. Echoes that killed, echoes that warned. Ambassador Vorak of the Jern Coalition tried to stop the panic. He told the press, "Silence is not attack. We are giving power to ghosts." But then his capital ship, orbiting their homeworld, caught a weak version of the pulse. Within 2 hours, the ship melted. Not exploded, melted like ice under heat from inside out. There were no survivors. Across the stars, single unknown satellite. Appeared, it had no known design. Black as void. Smooth as glass. It drifted into view near the old Terran expanse. And it broadcast a single symbol, red dot, pulsing in sync with the ghost pulse. Every hour it sent one word in galactic common. Remember? Remember what? Some believed it was a test. Others believed it was revenge. A few thought the humans had died. And this was the last breath of their technology. riled, broken, and dangerous. But there was one species who didn't think so: the Corlons. The Corlons had fought humans in the Ash Wars. They knew human warfare up close. And when they saw the ghost pulse, they said one thing: this is human. Not human tech, not human weapons, not a ghost. No human will. Silent. Waiting, watching, and now acting. On the edge of the galaxy, a single broadcast was captured by a listening outpost. Unlike the other signals, this one was clear. It was a video, grainy, faint, static running through it. A figure stood in a black room. A human face hidden by a hood. Behind them, the symbol of Earth. The voice was deep, calm, familiar. We asked for peace, we mocked. We asked to be left alone. We were attacked, disappeared. Now we answer. Video ended. In the following minutes, 7 minor worlds across the trade ring went offline. No explosions, no ships. Just silence. Now the galaxy was truly afraid. Armies prepared. Fleets gathered. Not to attack, but to survive. And still, no human was seen. Only the signals. Only the pulse. Only the ghosts. The humans were silent. But their voice was everywhere, and the galaxy began to understand. This was not just silence. This was judgment. Veltraxnan was not a weak planet. It belonged to the proud Dravari Empire. It's known for its strong military and advanced defense grids. Covered in blue forests and sky towers, Veltraxnan was home to over 700 million Dravari citizens. Their capital, Vuroska, floated above a mountain range and had never fallen in 1,000 years. But in one single night, everything ended. No distress signal, no battles, no trace of an attack. One moment the planet was busy and alive. The next, it was dead. The orbiting station, Krello's Watch, lost all communication with the surface at 3:12 local time. Scanners showed massive energy fluctuations, but no heat signatures, no weapons fire. The station sent probes down. They never returned then, exactly 6 hours later. The station itself powered down, a nearby scout ship from the Polari Trade Union. Glass Needle picked up the blackout and went to investigate. What they found was horrifying. Veltraxnan was silent. Not destroyed, not burning, just still. Cities remained standing. Ships remained docked. Towers still floated. But every single living thing was gone. Gone. Not dead. Not rotting. Just vanished. Even plants had wilted to ash. The rivers were dry. The skies dark. Only one thing was left. On the entire surface, a small metal box, glowing faint blue. The Polari crew brought it aboard against regulation. Inside, they found a single device-old human tech. Beacon. It was still active. The beacon broadcast a message on loop only in Galactic Common. 1 down. That was all. The Glass Needle crew sent the message to the Council, and they vanished too. The Council now had no choice. This was Warhaven, if the enemy wasn't seen. Grand Commander Soln of the Threx Enclave spoke with fire in his voice. We waited. Tried to understand, now we act. If humans hide in shadows, we will bring fire to those shadows. Armadas. We're prepared. Search fleets launched. But the fear remained. Because no one could answer one simple question. How did an entire planet die without a sound? Captain Lyra, from the Gorthon intelligence fleet, was sent to investigate Veltraxnan. Her ship, Silent Mirror, had the best scanners, cloaking tech, and analysis teams in the quadrant. When they reached the edge of the planet's atmosphere, they didn't land. They observed the first strange thing they noticed. No sound. Usually, even a dead world had some ambient frequencies, electrical hums, static from ion layers, echoes of wind or machines. Veltraxnan had none. Total void. The second strange thing. Shadows moved where there was no light. The crew saw it. Dark shapes sliding across buildings, long forms curling over towers. But there was no sun to cast them. Then came the third and most terrifying thing. At exactly 2 o'clock station time, the beacon, on the surface, changed its message. Now it said, We are watching. The ship tried to pull away, but the engines slowed. Not stopped, just resisted. As if something heavy now pressed against them. Something without mass. La Era made a choice. She activated the emergency warp, violating treaty law. The ship escaped, barely. But 2 crew members vanished mid-jump. Their suits were left behind, empty. The recording logs showed nothing unusual. But on a private audio file later recovered by Lara's officer, one of the vanished crew had whispered moments before disappearing, "I see them now, in the walls." News of Veltrax 9 spread like wildfire. Markets collapsed. Civilian ships fled to core worlds. Minor species begged to join the Council for protection, and everywhere. The same words appeared on coms, carved into walls, even painted on ships by unknown hands. This is the price. The price of what? Nobody knew. Some thought it was vengeance. Others thought humans had unlocked something ancient. Something they now couldn't control. But the few who had dealt closely with humans before the silence, they remembered. Humans didn't destroy because they wanted to. They destroyed when they were pushed to. Far Veltrax 9 became the galaxy's first tomb world, forbidden to approach, guarded by 3 fleets. But every month, without fail, the beacon turned back on, and it updated its count. 2 down. 3 down. 4. But those numbers didn't match official reports. Only Veltrax 9 had died. What did the numbers mean? Some believed it counted worlds already marked. Others believed it counted decisions crossed, lines broken, promises. But no matter what theories spread, no one could answer why Veltrax 9 had been first. It wasn't a war world. It wasn't close to Earth. It wasn't even important. Then an old Dravari historian, blind and half-mad, remembered something. Long ago, Veltrax 9 had hosted an experiment. A secret alliance between 3 empires. They had captured a small human child during a border conflict. They experimented on him. He died in a cage under that mountain city. No one was punished. The files were sealed. The historian's last words before he disappeared. They never forgot him. The galaxy knew the truth. Humans hadn't disappeared. They had simply stepped away like a parent leaving a room full of misbehaving children. And now, one by one, they were turning off the lights. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been this full. Delegates, war leaders, scientists, and rulers from over 100 species packed the chamber. Even species that hated each other like the Zorak and the Ferrosat-only meters. Apart, their weapons left outside, their hatred silenced by fear. Above them, a great dome screen replayed the last message from Veltrax 9. 1 down. Below, the room shook with tension. High Chancellor Vintal of the Serati Empire slammed a metallic fist on the desk. Enough waiting. Enough theories. We are under attack. This is war. Others shouted back. Where is the enemy? Have you seen a single human? Who do we fight if we don't know where they are? The answer was silence. Not human silence. Council silence. For once, no one wanted to speak next. Then, slowly, an old figure rose from the shadows of the chamber. General Trellock of the Varn Dominion. His face was scarred, his right arm cybernetic. He had fought in more human wars than anyone else in the chamber. When humans go quiet, he said, they are watching. Some rolled their eyes. None interrupted. When they disappear, he continued, they are preparing. He looked around the hall, slowly, and when they return, it's already too late. The words hung in the air like a noose council. Head Archivist Yelna stepped forward next. She was not a soldier. She was small, soft-spoken. But she carried history like a weapon. We searched the records, she said. There have been many crimes against humanity since they joined Galactic Society. Some open, some hidden. But this is not just revenge. She lifted a tablet showing an old treaty, the Human Peace Accord, signed 300 years ago. In this document, she said, there is a line, page 47, hidden in legal words. She read it aloud. Should the Terran Federation ever withdraw entirely, and without cause, such silence shall be understood as the invocation of Article Null. No one had ever cared about Article Null before. It was assumed to be a fancy legal exit. but the deeper meaning had never been tested. "What is Article Null?" asked the Jalari speaker. Yelna answered with shaking hands. "It means the humans warned us. Their silence was not surrender. It was permission to themselves." The council erupted again. "We must destroy Earth before they destroy us. Send fleets to human colonies. Track the beacon. Shut them all down." But none of it mattered, because no one knew where the humans were. Their home planet Earth was now unreachable. Probes disappeared. Ships sent near the system never returned. Even long-range scans turned up static. Earth was missing, not destroyed. It's not moved, just. Off the map, among the chaos, one group remained calm, the Heroctal Nomads, a quiet, wandering species of deep space monks. They had never taken sides in war. They lived in gas clouds and ice belts. But today, their elder, a being known as Wind and Thought, spoke for the first time in over a century. "Humans have always carried two hearts," he said. "One that loves, one that burns." The room listened. They gave us their first heart. We mocked it. We used it. Now, the second heart is beating. Panic turned into planning. The council formed 3 emergency units, the Silent Watchers, to monitor all known human ruins, the Echo Decoders to study the ghost signals, the Dead Beacon Task Force to locate and shut down any active human beacons, but within days, 2 teams disappeared. The third went mad. The Dead Beacon Task Force made contact with a deep space relay near the old Mars belt. They found it still functioning, still sending signals. They sent a small drone to deactivate it. The drone exploded before it touched the device. Then, the entire ship heard a whisper through their speakers. A single human voice. "You touch what is ours. We take what is yours." Minutes later, the task force's home base on the moon of Threxfer vanished. Not destroyed. Gone. Scans showed empty rock, like it had never existed. Now, even the strongest races in the council started to back away. Talks of attack turned into defense. Seal borders, shut down all transmission lines. No more beacon scans. They hoped that if they stopped poking the ghost, maybe it would stop killing. But then, one last signal arrived. A full message, clear and direct. No code, no trick. It was a video, a view of space. It's cold and black. In the center, a single human in a spacesuit. No flag. No face visible, just standing, floating in the void. He spoke. "You asked where we went? We went inside. We saw what you are. Now, you will see what we became." The video ended. Below it, a message in bright white text, 5 down. The council chamber fell silent. Even the lights dimmed, as if the galaxy itself was afraid. In the following hours, 5 small colonies lost contact. None were human, none were involved in war, but all had one thing in common. They had profited from the suffering of humans. Old records now unsealed showed black market trading of human tech. Secret captures, forced labor, silent deals. The silence was not random. It was a list, and the galaxy had no idea how long that list was. Council Leader Ventel made a final statement before closing the session. No more theories, no more jokes. Humanity was never weak. We mistook their silence for peace. But now, their silence is the weapon. The meeting ended. No applause, no war cries, only fear. And above the chamber, the great dome dimmed. Not by command, by something else. Because far out in the stars, another beacon lit up, and it whispered quietly, "We are not finished." There was a planet called Orvan's Rest, far from trade routes and war zones. It was small, cold, and quiet. Only one thing made it special: it held the oldest galactic archive ever built. A vault of knowledge older than any single species still alive. Few visited. Fewer stayed. The curators were not soldiers or leaders. They were historians, librarians, and silent machines. But now, the archive was under heavy guard, because after the Veltrax 9 incident, a curious thing happened. An old human data crystal, sealed and forgotten for nearly 2 centuries, activated on its own. It didn't send a signal. It didn't make a sound. It simply unlocked and began playing a message. Archivist Palin stood alone in the chamber as the message played again. He had watched it 50 times, and every time it left his blood colder. On the screen stood a young human officer, dressed in dark navy colors with the Terran symbol glowing on her chest. Her voice was calm, not angry, not afraid, just final. This message is not meant for friends. It's meant for when we are gone. She looked directly into the camera. If you are watching this, then our silence has begun. You pushed us too. You lied to us. You used us. You turned our children into weapons, called us dangerous, then built your peace on our bones. We warned you. The screen flickered. The background changed. Now it showed images, dark and hidden. Ones, secret meetings between council members, slavery rings, test labs, attacks disguised as accidents. None of this was known to the public. These were supposed to be erased from history. You hid these crimes, but we saw them, and we waited, not because we were weak, because we believed you could change. Her eyes narrowed. You didn't. The screen went black. Then one final line appeared. This is not vengeance. This is correction. Word of the archive spread quickly. The council tried to stop the leak, but it was too late. Across the stars, the message played on hidden networks. Smugglers saw it. Civilians saw it. Even the silent species, the gallery, broadcast it without words, and every empire that had once harmed humans now felt the heat of shame because the message was clear. The silence wasn't sudden. It had been planned. On the capital world of the Takari Combine, riots broke out. Their government had always denied human labor camps during the mining wars, but the archive proved they existed. The people demanded justice. They didn't want to be next, but the damage was done. 3 Takari colonies lost contact that same week. A 4th one simply melted. Satellites watched it turn from a shining city to a black crater in seconds. And near the wreckage, another beacon pulsed. 6 down. Council met again. But this time, there was no shouting, no debate. Just fear. High Chancellor Vental had not returned. His ship vanished. Believed he went to plead with the humans. Others believed he was already dead. Only one person spoke now. Archivist Palin. He had discovered something else, something deeper in the message. 2nd layer, hidden under the 1st. It required a human genetic key to unlock. They found one. The deeper message showed a list, not names, not planets, dates, future dates, and beside each one, a number. 7 down, 8 down, 9. The next date was only 5 days away. Suddenly, all council attention turned to protecting whatever was next, but they couldn't tell which world the number belonged to. No coordinates, no clues. Then came a private transmission marked with an old Terran code. It wasn't blocked. It came straight into the council mainframe. No video, no voice, just words. This was never about war. It was always about the lie. Every lie has a cost. You forgot we never stop counting. Same night, a scientist named Cale Drun decoded the rest of the archive crystal. What he found shattered him. The humans had created something. Not a weapon. Not an AI. Something alive. Built from grief. Trained on pain. A network made of broken promises and unspoken dead. They called it the Hollow Chorus. It wasn't one ship. It wasn't one mind. It was many. 1,000,000 voices linked together by silence, and it was growing. It didn't need orders. It remembered everything, every insult, every betrayal, every name, and now it was delivering judgment, one world at a time. Cale tried to speak before the council. Didn't finish. He started to scream before he could explain. They found him inside his lab the next morning, curled up, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a silent shout. The message was left written in his own blood. It's not revenge. It's math. The council could no longer lie to itself. This wasn't a war they could win. It wasn't a war at all. It was a correction, as the human message said. A cold, calculated removal of rot. Not randomly, not emotionally, deliberately. Now, every race that once hurt humanity began to check its history. Old crimes were uncovered. Apologies were made. Treaties were signed. But the beacons kept counting. The silence kept spreading. And Earth, still missing, untouched, unknown, invisible. At the end of the week, another beacon activated on a moon once used for human slave labor. It blinked 12 times. Then a message appeared. You cannot find us, because we are already where we need to be. The galaxy is not ours to rule. It is ours to fix. One final sentence. 10 down. The stars above the trade spine were full of ships. Thousands of them. The Galactic Council had formed the largest combined military fleet in recorded history. From the insect-like fighters of the Ixari to the fortress cruisers of the Drivari. Every species sent their best. Shields were raised, weapons were armed. War chants echoed through cold space. The target was simple. Earth, even though no one had been able to reach it. The plan was clear: send everything, break through the silence, crush whatever had risen. In humanity's absence, they called it Operation Final Hammer. But when the fleet reached the old coordinates of Sol, there was nothing. No planet, no sun, no system, only darkness, black space. Cold and quiet, like the humans had never been there at all. Admiral Garvak of the Kirathi War Order stared at the scanners in silence. No errors. Techs shook their heads. All systems confirmed. Earth was missing. Even time signals were wrong. As if this part of space no longer followed galactic standard, then, without warning, every screen on every ship turned white. A human appeared. Not in a ship. Not on a bridge, just standing in white space. A man in black, hands behind his back, calm eyes, and behind him, a field of stars no one recognized. He spoke in galactic common. You brought a hammer. We already removed the walls. That fleet panicked. Some tried to fire weapons. Others ran, but nothing worked. Engines failed. Cannons refused to charge. Even communication between ships broke down. They weren't locked by force. They were simply turned off. The man continued. You built fleets to fight us. We are not here to fight. Behind him, more figures appeared. Humans, dozens of them. Men, women, old, young. All silent. All still. And then came the voice again, this time not from the man, but from all of them at once. We are the hollow chorus. We do not burn with hate. We flow with memory. We are not here for your fleets. We are here for your lies. Then, every ship in the fleet began receiving data, not weapons, viruses, records, millions of them. Secret files from council archives, hidden messages between governments, proof of every crime, every betrayal, every treaty broken to harm humans. The truth hit like a supernova. Soldiers stopped. Commanders wept. Captains dropped their weapons. Because now they knew. This was never about fighting back. This was about showing them what they really were, at the same time, across the galaxy. Human beacons all lit up. On every screen the same phrase appeared. The war you prepared for is over. The mirror is up. And then they shut down again. No explosions, no attacks. Just silence and shame. Many empires collapsed within days when the people saw the truth. They turned on their leaders. On Tyron's world, the Prime Minister begged for forgiveness on live broadcast seconds before he vanished. No scream, no body, just a shadow left behind. Some said it was the chorus. Others said it was justice. The message was clear. This was not revenge. This was exposure. Meanwhile, a small science ship named the Seeker's Echo did what no war fleet had done. It didn't carry weapons, didn't come with fear. It approached the edge of where Earth used to be and sent a question, only one. What Do you want? For 2 hours there was no answer. Then a single pulse came back. A voice, soft, young, human. We want it to stop. The ship asked again. What? The voice answered. The lie. In the ruins of a forgotten moon station, an ancient AI switched on. It played a human message. If we vanish, we do so not to escape, but to let truth rise. You cannot kill truth. You can only delay it. Then came coordinates, not to Earth too. Hundreds of places across the galaxy, each tied to a forgotten crime, a hidden betrayal, or a lost child. Places the galaxy had buried, now uncovered by silence. One of those coordinates led to a small asteroid field near the old Varan border. A ship was sent to investigate. Inside, they found a drifting pod. Inside the pod was a human child. Frozen, preserved, alive, missing. For 300 years, the child opened his eyes as they scanned him. His first words were, "Did they learn?" The war that wasn't shook the stars more than any real battle. There were no burning worlds. No. Bloody ground, only reflection, only memory, and one truth that could not be erased anymore. Humanity had left. To fix what the galaxy refused to face, they didn't bring fire. They brought a mirror. And now, the galaxy had to decide, would it keep hiding or finally change? A final message was found hidden in the old Terran code. It had no sound. Just words. We may return, or we may not. It depends on you. The stars blinked gently in the black sky. For the first time in centuries, they felt calm. Trade routes reopened. Armies disbanded. Worlds began to speak again, but this time, carefully, truthfully. The fear of humans had turned into a lesson. Not just about strength, but about what comes after strength. Across the galaxy, people waited. They had seen the beacons. They had seen the silences, the files, the child. The chorus now, they asked the same thing. Was that the end? On the edge of forgotten space, a small moon turned slowly. No one lived there. No records mentioned it, but it was not empty. Deep underground, a machine hummed. Silent for centuries, it finally blinked green. A message was ready. One last piece. One last truth. It wasn't a warning. It was a choice. The council had changed. The old ones were going to neither vanished, resigned, or imprisoned. In their place stood younger leaders. Not perfect, but honest. They didn't ask where the humans had gone. They asked what made them leave. And now, they were ready to hear the answer. Message came in the form of a memory. It showed a human girl standing before the first galactic council. She was smiling, offering peace, offering science, offering Earth's friendship. Then came the images of her being mocked, laughed at, threatened, followed by files, showing her home being bombed, her family lost, her planet marked dangerous. Then came her voice recorded long ago. We came in peace, but peace has a price. If you lie about it, that price becomes silence. The file ended. Another opened. This one had no sound. It was only an image. The Earth, but it was different. It was brighter. Covered in strange structures. Orbiting it were rings not of metal, but of light. And above it, thousands of ships floated. Not in war, but in harmony. Humans with others. Aliens, some known, some never seen before. Working together, living. Together, a new galaxy not ruled, but rebuilt. And it was nowhere near the old one. The meaning was clear. Humanity hadn't disappeared. They had simply left. They found a new path. A better one. Far from lies. Far from war. But they hadn't forgotten the old stars. They had left behind seeds, memories, beacons too. See if the old galaxy would grow. On the planet Gresha, a small child walked out of a classroom. He looked up at the sky. A glowing moved across the stars. His teacher told him, "That is not a star." "That is a message," the boy asked. "From who?" The teacher smiled. "From the ones who showed us who we were." On the ruined world of Zevon, once known for its cruelty, statues were built. Not of leaders, not of generals, but of truth speakers, people who, during the silence, had helped reveal the lies. At the center stood a statue of a human unknown, faceless, holding a mirror. The inscription read, "Before we blamed. Ow. Now we remember." Not all species accepted the change. The core Dominion tried to rebuild its army. Its leader, Lord Varn, declared the silence a trick. His fleet launched toward old Terran space. They never returned, but no one saw an explosion. Only a whisper lie. Again, and you will fade again. One final message arrived, not in code, not in force, but on paper, found on a drifting probe near the galactic center. The note said, "We were never gods. We were never devils. We were just human. You judged us by fear. Now judge yourselves by truth. When you are ready, find the mirror again." The probe also carried a small object, a seed, the DNA. It showed it could grow into a tree not seen on any known world. Scientists tried to plant it. It refused to grow, until one day, on a forgotten farm world where an old man read stories about humans to children, the tree sprouted without water, without sun, just memory. And the children called it the chorus tree. Centuries passed, the galaxy changed, borders faded, species mixed, or became rare. Every child learned the story of the silence, not with fear, but with hope. Because now they understood, something they had once ignored. Humanity was dangerous, yes, but not because of weapons, because of truth, and truth never stayed buried, even in silence, especially in silence. One day, a young explorer reached the edge of charted space. There she found a small station, still active. Inside, a single screen blinked. A human voice said, "Welcome," he remembered. Then, a gate opened, and beyond it, new stars, new paths, and maybe humans, waiting not to rule but to walk beside those who had finally listened.